Friday morning, let's have a look at some of the papers for you. The front pages. Many carrying the guilty verdict in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Times says opinion polls have suggested a criminal conviction could put off some voters. Some political strategists doubt whether it will have any effect in the US election later this year.
Trump guilty is the Mirror's headline, the paper's entire front page dedicated to the verdict, which it describes as historic.
Back to UK politics, and the Daily Express reporting that Labour's Angela Rayner has challenged Sir Keir Starmer to allow veteran MP Diane Abbott to stand at the general election, exposing divisions among the party's senior ranks.
And the Daily Mail features the story of thousands of NHS patients who will receive personalised cancer vaccines over the next year. You just saw with Fergus's report. It's a landmark breakthrough, it's being described. It says the NHS is launching a world-leading scheme which will matchmake patients with clinical trials. And as I said, we will talk to Fergus a little later on in the programme and get more details.
You never know what advice people might need who are watching this programme. So, report out today saying that killer whales in the giant oceans are playing with yachts much more than they ever did. And there's a very simple reason. It's because they're bored, they say, because they're not hunting so much. There are many more tuna for them to eat.
Right.
So they want things to do. Lo and behold, a little yacht turns up and they want to play. So we have had over 600 incidents of boats being attacked is the wrong word. They say that's what it kind of looks like, but they say that actually...
Because they body slam them, don't they?
They're trying to play, so they try and bite the rudder or nudge the boat. It's all part of the fun. Not much fun if you're in a small boat off Morocco's coast and orcas break the rudder and punch a hole in the hull because they're being played with. And if you need advice, in the unlikely event that today you're setting off in the giant oceans, the advice to sailors currently is if they start to mess around your boat, you play dead, switch off the engines, leave the area. It also says here, try and put a mile or two between you and the whale. That would be a little bit tricky, but basically just try not to draw attention to yourself, which is, I dare say, is pretty hard to do.
Or you could talk to the whale.
Haven't got that here.
I'm linking into this, OK, because we all know the story of Dr. Dolittle talking to the animals. OK, there is a prize now, the Collar Dolittle Prize, for interspecies two-way communication. It's been launched by the Jeremy Collar Foundation and Tel Aviv University, and it wants to unlock, like, conversations.
Human to animal.
Different species talking to each other, and they say this has precedent. There's been work in the field. Researchers have developed a machine which has all these algorithms to translate bat squeaks. Okay, and so now they've launched this prize to crack the code, and there's an award. There's an incentive, £10 million equity investment into a project, or $500,000 cash. And there'll be an annual prize of $100,000 to help researchers in the field come up with these models to help communicate with the animals.
Thing is, I'm sure anyone who's got a pet at home will say, do you know, we know that already because you can talk to the animals and they can understand you. I would say a lot of people would say they absolutely can have a full-on dialogue with their
Not dialogue.
Their dog, their cat.
You can have an interaction, but the animals don't speak back. You can't have a full dialogue.
Good morning from BBC London. I'm Victoria Hollins. Hundreds of Border Force officers at Heathrow are starting a 3-day strike in a dispute over new rosters. The Public and Commercial Services Union said more than 500 of its members on passport control are taking action. A Home Office spokesperson said plans are in place to minimise disruption. The NHS Trust running East Surrey hospitals says a technical issue in January has resulted in around 30,000 emergency department letters not being transmitted electronically to GPs. They say an immediate solution was implemented, but it comes after the BBC obtained information from 122 major hospital trusts, where nearly half with electronic recording systems reported IT problems, which could impact patient care. Plans to build a major new film studio on Greenbelt lands to the west of London have been refused by a council. It was being considered for an area in Little Marlow and had been backed by the Titanic director, James Cameron, who said he was impressed with the proposals. But in a poll of local people, most were against the move. Buckinghamshire councillors said it was a difficult decision, but decided it was in the wrong place. Now, there's no shortage of walking tours here, covering everything from art to food. But a new one in East London is showing a very different side of the capital. Unseen Tours is a social enterprise all based around Canning Town. It's led by a guide who shares her knowledge of the local area and also her own story.
On the tour, we talk about the rich history, and I also talk about my own experience as a survivor of human trafficking. Me talking, I'm creating more awareness about everything that happened to me in the past because I don't want it to happen to anyone else. That's the reason why I'm doing this.